My husband invited me to his retirement party. Then the slideshow thanked his other wife. For 11 years, I thought I was married to a quiet man who hated attention. Daniel never wanted birthday parties. He never posted online. He said privacy was peace. So when his company planned a retirement party for him, I was shocked he agreed. He said they insisted, just come, smile, and we can leave early. That sentence should have warned me. The party was at a hotel ballroom. There were gold balloons, a dessert table, framed photos from his career, and a giant screen that said, "Congratulations, Daniel." I wore the blue dress he liked and brought the watch I had saved months to buy him. Then the receptionist asked which family table I belonged to. I said, "I'm his wife." She looked down at her clipboard and smiled too carefully. Then she said, "Of course, we have you at table 9. Table 9 was in the back. At the front, beside Daniel's chair, there was a reserved sign that said, "Family." 4 seats. One for Daniel, one for his mother, one for a woman named Marissa, and one for a child named Owen. I had never heard those names. I found Daniel near the bar and asked who Marissa was. His face changed for half a second. Then he said, "She's an old coworker. HR probably made a seating mistake." HR, the emergency exit of married liars. I wanted to believe him because the alternative felt insane. But then Marissa walked in. She was wearing cream. She carried a little boy on her hip. Daniel's mother stood up, hugged the boy, and said, "There's Grandma's baby." Grandma, my mother-in-law, who told me for years that Daniel and I should try harder to give her grandchildren, was holding another woman's child like she had known him since birth. Daniel saw me watching and looked down. That was when I stopped being confused and started taking pictures. The party began. People gave speeches about Daniel's loyalty and sacrifice. His boss called him a family man. Then the slideshow started. The first photos were normal, office events, conferences, Daniel shaking hands. Then the screen changed. There was Daniel at the beach with Marissa, Daniel at a pumpkin patch with the little boy, Daniel holding Marissa's hand in a hospital room. The caption said, "Thank you to Daniel's loving wife, Marissa, and their son, Owen, for supporting him through every season." Wife. Their son? The room clapped. I felt my body go cold. Daniel lunged toward the projector table, but it was too late. His boss was smiling, completely unaware he had just detonated my marriage in front of 200 people. I looked at Daniel's mother. She would not look at me. That told me everything. I walked to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and searched Daniel's name with Marissa's. It took 30 seconds. There was a church newsletter from 6 years ago congratulating Daniel and Marissa on the baptism of their son. 6 years. He had a son for 6 years. Then I found a school fundraiser page. Daniel was listed as Owen's father. Marissa was listed as spouse. Spouse. Not girlfriend. Not ex. Spouse. I opened our shared bank app with shaking hands. Every month there was a transfer, marked storage. $2,000, same date, same amount. Storage was Marissa's mortgage. The watch in my purse suddenly felt ridiculous.
I came out of the restroom and saw Daniel waiting in the hallway. He said, "Please don't make a scene." I said, "How long have you had a second wife?" He whispered, "It's not legal," as if that made it cleaner. He said Marissa knew about me at first, but he told her we were separated. He said his mother helped because she wanted a grandson. He said he planned to tell me after retirement, when things were calmer. After retirement. After I helped pay off our house. After I spent 11 years cooking dinner for a man who had another family waiting across town. Then he said, "You have to understand Owen is innocent." I said, "So was I." He cried then, not because he was sorry, because his 2 lives had finally collided in a hotel hallway with bad carpet and a shrimp buffet. I walked back into the ballroom. Marissa was standing near the family table, holding Owen's jacket. She looked terrified. I asked her one question. "Did you know he was still married to me?" She started crying and said, "He said you refused to divorce him because of the house." Of course he did. To me, he said Marissa was a coworker. To her, I was the bitter wife. To his mother, I was the placeholder who could not give her a grandchild. Everyone had a role in Daniel's play except me. So I decided to rewrite the ending. I asked the event coordinator if I could give Daniel his gift before the final toast. She said, "That's so sweet." Daniel saw me walk toward the stage and shook his head. I smiled at him.
People like Daniel mistake silence for weakness because it has always protected them. I took the microphone and said, Daniel, I brought you a retirement gift, but after tonight's beautiful slideshow, I realized you deserve something more meaningful. Everyone clapped. I pulled out the watch box, then I opened it and removed the receipt instead. I said, this was going to be a watch from your wife, your only wife. But since the slideshow just introduced me to your other wife and your son, I thought we should update the program. The room went silent so fast, I heard a fork hit a plate. Daniel said my name like a warning. I kept going. I put my phone on the projector cable. The first slide was the retirement slideshow, caption, Daniel's loving wife, Marissa. The second slide was our marriage certificate. The third was the church newsletter naming Daniel and Marissa as parents. The fourth was the monthly transfers from our shared account labeled storage. The fifth was a screenshot of the mortgage company with Marissa's address. Daniel's boss stood up slowly. Daniel's mother started crying and said, this is not the place. I said, apparently it is. This is where you seated his family. Marissa covered Owen's ears and walked out. I did not blame her. She had been lied to too. Maybe not as completely as me, but enough. Then came the peak. Daniel's boss asked if company funds had ever been used for travel involving Marissa. Daniel said no too quickly. His assistant, who had been standing in the back with her mouth open, raised her hand. She said, I have the reimbursement records. The entire ballroom turned. She walked up with a tablet and showed Daniel's boss 3 trips listed as client visits, hotel rooms, meals, flights for 2 adults and 1 child. Daniel had used company money to take his second family on vacations. His retirement party became an internal investigation in under 5 minutes. I handed Daniel the watch receipt and said, return it yourself. You're going to need the money. Then I walked out. The final twist came a week later. Marissa called me. She said Daniel had told her he owned half my house and would move in with her after retirement because I was unstable. Then she sent me a photo of a life insurance policy. Daniel had made Marissa the beneficiary 3 months earlier, but the policy listed me as deceased. Deceased. Not divorced, not separated, dead. That one word turned my divorce into something much bigger. My lawyer reported it. His company opened a fraud review. The insurance company opened its own investigation. Daniel's retirement package was frozen. His mother called me and said I was destroying him. I told her, no, I was just no longer dying quietly in his paperwork. 6 months later, I kept the house. Marissa got a lawyer. Daniel lost his job before he could retire with honors. He texted me once from a new number and said, you ruined my legacy. I replied, no, Daniel, I attended your retirement party and finally met it. Then I blocked him. He invited me to a party where his slideshow thanked his other wife, so I gave him a final presentation everyone would remember.